What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about 4 Grayscale trusts today. We're going to be going over LTCN, BCHG, ARC, and G-Soul at the request of Captain Jack Sparrow, Cow, Tony Tacos, and Paul O. Paul O also requested that I play the guitar, so I'm going to do that. I am learning a song, or relearning a song, I should say, that I haven't played in a while. So forgive me if it's not good, but let's go for it and see. And then we'll get into the TA, okay? If you know this song, leave it in the comments. No, hold on. And then it goes. Am I loud and clear, or am I breaking up? Am I still your charm, or am I just bad luck? Are we getting closer, or are we just getting more lost? I'll show you mine if you show me yours first. Let's compare scars, I'll tell you whose is worse. Let's unwrite these pages and replace them with our own words. It's that one part that's the tricky part for me, but that's enough of that. I will probably feel embarrassed about that later, but while I've got the gumption, we're going to leave that up. That's that. Let's go over this right now, you guys. Okay, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's see, $30.29. I do not play the guitar in every video, guys. That's not a normal thing. That was just a one-time, maybe not a one-time thing, but it's like the second time I've ever done that in this channel's history. So watch the channel for a year or so, and you might see the guitar come out every now and then. Let's see, from the relative high to low on LTCN, yes, you've moved up a little bit. You are down about 5.3% today. Captain Jack wants me to go over the long term and stuff like that, but we will get into that after I get into the short term here. High to low. You could find support at about 29, 23. I want to be clear, you guys, that the prices down here that I was talking about going to a lower low, they are off the table at the moment. I mean, they're still on the table. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but they're not as likely right now. To be completely fair, we are still in this trend where we have formed lower highs and lower lows, but things are changing in crypto right now, right? And I think if we look at LTC, that might be a little bit more indicative of what's going on, because you wanted me to go over the long term for both of these as well. The weekly RSI on LTC actually looks pretty good. That lower price that I was calling for on LTC doesn't look like it's going to happen either. You moved down, you had a nice sell-off, and it didn't give way. You held the green line, the 123 on the weekly, week after week for about a month and a half now. I think if you were to go lower, you would have done it already. And the weekly RSI does look really nice right here. Daily RSI looks fine. It looks constructive, even though, yes, you are going down right now. Relative low to high, you could go down to maybe $83. You're at 85, 81 now, so that could cause LTCN to go down over the coming days or day or whatever, you know, for the rest of the week maybe even. But I think what you're going to do is you're going to form a higher low, if not a double bottom, but probably a higher low, and that higher low very well could be based off of this trend, which would put you, I would assume, at the 236 around $29, perhaps all the way down at the 069 at about $25.50, but let's see. I mean, you're at the relative 382 already. I bet you do go down to about like $29.20, somewhere around there. $29.20. Find a higher low and then start moving your way up. As far as the long term goes for LTCN, nothing's really changed for me. Oh, I'm not in log. Oh wait, no, that's just the RSI. Nothing's really changed for me. I feel like, and for those of you who are new or who might not remember, my thoughts on the Grayscale trusts are that they will top off before the native assets. And I'm assuming that at large for most cryptos, we're going to see things top off probably, I would say, after April of 2025. I'm guessing October, but I'm genuinely thinking the latter half of 2025, but it could be as early as April or a little bit after that. But if that's when most cryptos are going to top off, I would assume that these things top off a little bit before. If we go back to the previous cycle, when I say these things, I mean the Grayscale trust. You've got about 24 weeks worth of distance between your your all-time high on the Grayscale Trust for LTCN, and then I think that's your actual high for the cycle. Let's see. Come on now. Let's see here. Yeah, so that would have been your high for the cycle. The second high, the lower high, the double top there. So, I mean, you were still at these highs. It's not like you just like sold off 24 weeks before, but you found your high 24 weeks before. So that is something to keep in mind. I have a theory that the Grayscale Trust this time, they're not going to find their highs as far away as they did last time, but still relatively, I think, far away. 24 weeks, I think, is a good place to kind of keep in reference. If I'm thinking April is the earliest for next cycle, or for next year, sorry. Let's see. March, April. How can I get it to April? That's at April right there. So that would put us in potentially the latter part of this year. It could be October or November of this year that you see these trusts reaching their highs, which really that kind of limits, in my opinion, the ability for these things to grow too much. Like, you'd have to start getting going. It definitely can, if this is the end of your cycle. I feel like I drew that line pretty straight. You absolutely can reach these prices up here at about $2,000, but you're gonna have to continue this parabolic trajectory. So, that's at the earliest. To me, that's not the likelihood. I do think more likely we're gonna see the market end in October, but let's just go off of what that would look like. October would put us over here. So that would give us a lot more time to kind of develop these prices that we're looking for. And that is more ideal. So this is why it's kind of essential that we do see a bull cycle that's of a normal kind of aspect in the length of time, the kind of expected aspect. But if we don't, stuff to be prepared for. We really could top off by the end of this year for the Grayscale Trust. But the thing is, looking at the chart by itself, like if we take Litecoin out of the picture, right? You look at the chart by itself, assuming that cryptos top off in April, right? If we were to top off in April, this would top off. That'd mean the Grayscale Trust would top off 24 weeks beforehand. It'd be sometime later this month. We would have that data in front of us on the cryptos as well, right? Like it would look like we were getting to the end of the cycle. Right now, if we look at LTC, in case that doesn't make any sense, to me, this doesn't look like we're anywhere, like we haven't even really gotten going yet, right? We're still in this accumulation phase. We haven't even gotten to the good part yet. So I really do think this cycle is going to go on and into next year. And I think throughout that time, you're going to see these trusts grow. So I don't know, man. It's not the easiest thing to kind of gauge as to how long or where these things are going to top off, because we've really only had one cycle to go. I hope nobody gets scared by the idea that, it really could. You should consider this. We really could see these Grayscale trusts top off later this year. As crazy as it sounds, that would all depend on if the markets are topping off in like the beginning of next year. Because again, I do think you're going to find your highs before the actual high of the underlying asset. And also, again, to just like further kind of calm the nerves for anybody, 24 weeks is not how far the gap I would expect it to be. I think it will be smaller. I don't think it's going to be like 4 weeks or 8 weeks. I think it could be 20 weeks. It could be 15 weeks, somewhere in between there. I don't know. Call it a hunch. Call it a guess. But nonetheless, you still hung out at these highs. You had a relative time to get out. I don't think it'll look like this at all, right? This is how LTCN looks. If we go to BCHG too, I really feel like I'm being confusing in this video, but you had a very similar look. You had a lot of time to get out. I wouldn't think that's what's going to happen this time. I think you're going to get a lot larger of a cycle. I think it's going to be like, this was great. You've already outperformed that though, right? From a relative low point. I guess at your all-time low, even in the opening week to your all-time high, that was a 22x. From your relative lows here to where you've gone so far, that's a 27x, right? Like we've already outpaced last cycle, but we're doing it in a lot longer time. So it's healthy. It looks parabolic right now as long as we maintain the structure and keep things healthy. I think it's fine. There's nothing in the charts to suggest to me that we're near the tops yet, but as far as when that happens, to try and answer your question, come back around to that, Captain Jack. I don't know, man. It could be as early as sometime by the end of this year, or it could be as early or as late as April of next year. It could be even later than that. This is all assuming that we have a 24-week space in between the actual high of the underlying asset. If it's less time than that, if it's less than 24 weeks, it could be June of next year, about midway through next year. If I'm expecting October, I would think at least 3 months before the top is when we'd see these Grayscale trusts near their highs, near their cycle highs, at least 3 months. So October is the 9th month, 10th month. It's the 10th month. 3 months before, that'd be July. So like July, April, somewhere in that time is my genuine guess, my genuine opinion. As far as where could the price be, that's a whole nother guess in itself. If we're kind of drawing a crappily drawn parabolic structure here, I don't know, man. I'm trying not to be too bullish with it, Just like, I mean, they get pretty bullish pretty quick. I don't know if LTCN were to carry out this parabolic structure that it's in right now, you could definitely see. I mean, maybe not 8,000. I wouldn't say that high, but I mean, I don't know, man. I would think that you would stay on trajectory, on par. Let's see here. With something in this range here, not the 1,618. I don't think you're going to see the 1,618, but something between $2,300 to $5,000, and probably, let's see. Let's go with this here to this time frame here, somewhere in this time here. So I don't know. That kind of looks on par for the trajectory that we have, at least just with the naked eye. But it's a guess. It's a guess, man. That's a far ways away. Guessing when is not my strong suit. It's guessing where. That's my strong suit, or stronger suit. I can be wrong on that too, guys. Just because I'm confident in these prices doesn't mean that they have to happen. I am very confident that we see new all-time highs, and based on the all-time high to the all-time low fib on the LTCN chart, the minimum extended expected price would be $2,300. So being at $30 now, that's still a ways to go. But we could fail to meet that. We could exceed that. I doubt that we would break $5,000. I don't doubt that we could reach it. I very much do accept and even expect that we could reach that. I do doubt that we could see $15,000, but sorry, $15,000. But anything's possible. It depends on what LTC does. As far as LTC goes, you want me to do a cycle high on that as well? Well, I've already said that I think sometime in October, I'd say probably the second half is what I feel safe is saying for crypto. I think it's going to be the second half of 2025 that the market tops off. Last cycle, Bitcoin topped off in November. Litecoin topped off in May. The cycle before, Bitcoin topped off in December, and so did Litecoin. So assuming that Litecoin's going to top off before Bitcoin, I think is a bit no. I don't think so much on that. Wait, hold on. May? Did LTCN? Where did LTCN top off? I thought it was May also. No, it was no. Okay, I got you. Never mind. Okay, so let's see. Let's look at the monthly. Relative high to low here. The expected targets, the minimum expected target would be 780, potentially $1,745, somewhere in there. I do think that you could see higher prices than that. In fact, if you look at this for what it is, it's kind of a range in itself, right? You've been range bound now for 2 cycles, right? At least 2 full bear cycles, 1 full bull cycle. You're beginning another bull cycle now, but you've been range bound for a while. So I think taking the relative fib is important, but also taking the cycle high to low important from here, because that's not just your cycle high to low, but that's your range high to low as well. You could see $934, 2,586. Those are your kind of expected areas. The other expected areas on the relative fib here from the relative cycle that we just got done with, you do have 2 of those expected targets in that expected range as well. And you could see higher prices. Really, LTCN could go higher, but as far as when that happens, I'm going to assume that unlike last cycle, LTCN probably tops off around the same time as Bitcoin. So probably in the later half of 2025, and my assumption is around October, if not maybe later, maybe earlier. It's hard to say. But that's that. A bit of a complicated question, but I hope that answered it. I know. I feel like I didn't talk too well there, but I hope you guys can make sense out of that. $13 is the current price for BCHG. We're moving on to that now. You also want to know the highs for this, don't you, Cal? I think it's good to go over that. let's see. And I would say all the time frames, they probably stand true for BCHG as well. In case you're wondering, just copy and paste for LTCN or for BCHG from LTCN. The minimum target from the relative high to low here would be $234. I think we were going cycle high to cycle low though, weren't we? Because if you're looking at it on the monthly, it makes more sense to take that high, I think. And if we're doing the long term, looking at the monthly, I don't know. It's still a new chart, obviously, but 250, 1500. If you want to be more conservative by like 10 bucks or 20 bucks, sure, go for this. But I think whatever, anything in between 250 to 1500 is fair game. I really do think BCHG does stand a chance to see its 1618 being hit, but it just depends on what BCH does. I think the most likely target for BCHG is its 1414 probably. I don't think it's going to stop at 250. I'm skeptical if it sees 1500. I do have hopes and faith that it could, but I feel the most confident in saying something between $500 to $1,000 is kind of where I think it's going to top off at. But to look at the relative time frames to give kind of a relative analysis, looking at the weekly here, I really like your RSI. It looks bullish as hell, man. You're consolidating. You're kind of looking parabolic yourself, but not. It's like almost stronger. It's almost like a V. I don't know. It's like a flex of a parabola there. I don't know. But let's see here. I don't know where I'd want to take this fib from. Pulling back. I mean, you look healthy, man. You just look really healthy. Is that the right fib to take, or should I take it from this high? Let's see what's being respected. I feel like that high is more respected. But yeah, you look like your next target's going to be at $33. I don't think you're going lower. Unfortunately, for all the people who, and myself included, who are expecting lower prices for BCHG, I don't think we're going to get that. You know, we might go down for now. I do think BCH is going to move down. We can look at BCH real quick, even though I've given analysis on that in the past 24 hours. The reason I'm doing these videos early today, by the way, is because I didn't have time yesterday to do them. You guys, it was like 1 in the morning. I had to call it quits. I need sleep. You know, I got to deal with my daughter in the mornings. Like it's a whole thing. I didn't forget about you guys, but that's why I'm doing them in the daytime today. Looking at the relative terms for Bitcoin Cash, I mean, that might be it, guys. Like we hit 495. And in that video, that was like the highest of the low. I mean, I guess 500 was the highest of the low points that I thought, but 495 is in that range. I mean, that could have been the relative low. We might be working our way up. Breaking above your 382 like this and then back testing it and holding it as support is a classic and very bullish thing to do. However, if you look at the RSI, you've rejected the overbought zone, so you could go lower. You could go lower, and that would still be fine. Breaking above your 382 and then going back to your 236 is also a very common thing to do, and it kind of comes in line with this. You know, it looks good, so it's hard to say. The day hasn't closed yet. We have 3 hours left in the day. The 4 hour looks it looks really good. It kind of looks like it'd want to. You're right at the area where you would bounce if you were looking for a bounce. Let's look at the short-term time frames to see. 1 hour kind of would suggest that you'd go lower, as with the 15 minutes. So you might not hold the 382, in which case I do believe that BCHG could go lower, perhaps a little lower, but I would give it the same kind of idea as LTCN. I don't think you're going to go lower than this low anymore, but lower than your current price, sure, to form a overall higher low, a discernible higher low relative to the areas that you're at. You might go to about 1070 to 1250, somewhere in that range. I would say you would probably go lower than $12, I think. You're at $12.95 now, so it's not ideal, especially for anybody that might have sold below $10 or below $11 even, but it's still not the end of the world. But the weekly RSI or the daily RSI here on BCHG is looking good as well. You couldn't even get oversold, man. Like when you're getting overbought, no problem. You're hanging out predominantly above the 50, no problem. You do not spend a lot of time below it, and you don't even get oversold. This is a very bullish daily chart, so unfortunately the lower prices I was calling for just aren't there. But hey, man, we've been here before, right? That happened last time too. Called the relative high fairly well, but I didn't get the whole move right. I only got half of it right, and it took me till like later to be like, okay, we're moving up, and that's kind of how it is now. At the same time, it's like, back here, I didn't have enough evidence to be convinced that that low was forsaken, that a lower low was forsaken. But over the past few days, over the past week or so, we've had new evidence come to light that suggests this could be the low. It really could be the low. And I want to look just real quick before we move on here. High to low. Yeah, we're above the 382 on this as well. The day has closed. Oh, we're a little bit below it. We could go down to the 236, sure. Yeah, 1144, that makes sense, man. Below $12, I could see that. And then from there up, probably to 16.50 and beyond. Your next immediate targets when you break this high are going to be $30.79, $42.79. Similar cent endings there. So being at 12.91 right now, even if it is going lower, that's decent gains. It'll probably happen in a short amount of time because this thing likes to move up fast whenever it does move up, when it decides to. But it's all dependent on BCH, I suppose. So we'll see. But yes, down a little bit for now, maybe for the rest of the week, maybe just for a couple days, which I guess would be the rest of the week. But we'll see how it goes next week. You might have. I do believe that you found your low. There is still a chance. I want to be clear. There is still a chance that you could go lower. Absolutely. So don't be scared if we do. Those $8 to $6 kind of price targets, $8 specifically price targets, are on the table. I think it was $9 to $7 actually, with an $8 kind of idea. They're still on the table, but a lot less likely now. Okay, so just keep that in mind. BCHG, that's that ARC for Tony Tacos. You did say ARC. Grayscale. I swear you said ARC was Grayscale. I didn't look it up, unfortunately, so that might be my goof. Let me look this up real quick, you guys. I don't normally do this, but I remember where Tony Tacos put his message. Let's see. Bear with me here, people. Let's see. Check out ARC Grayscale ETF. ARC Grayscale ETF. I'm not seeing it, man. I guess I don't know. Is it this? Is it ARKK Fund ETF? Innovation Fund? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, it could be. I don't know. It kind of looks like LTC almost, like this accumulation phase. I don't know, Tony. I'm sorry, man. I don't know which one you want. It could be this one, but I really don't know. You said Grayscale ETF, but I don't see anything that says Grayscale. Let me type it in real quick. ARC Grayscale. Yeah, I don't know, man. ARC sells 28 million Grayscale Bitcoin Trust shares. I'm sorry, I don't know. GSOL for Paul O. Looking at GSOL here, breaking out, yes. Consolidated, breaking out, absolutely. The volume is increasing, but I'd like to see more volume come in. With the way that things are going, let's just assume you're probably going to see a relative extension of this move here. You didn't really respect these fibs. That one you look to have a little bit more respect on. So I don't know. I don't feel confident on where to draw this fib, but I am going to guess 730 to 975. Maybe we could look at a more relative fib to kind of get an idea. Let me get this going here, back to the camera. No, that's not what I meant to do. This one here. Yeah, you're respecting this a little bit. I think you're good, man. I think you're moving up. Right now you're at 469. You'll be above 500 before you know it. Working your way up to 600 and beyond, yeah. As far as where you go specifically, I don't know. I'm going to guess between $660 and $1,000, man. $660 and $1,000, but probably closer to that 660 to 800 level is what I'm thinking. Somewhere in that area, maybe even somewhere in the 700s, but that's your next kind of target move up. Good job, GSOL. Looking good on all fronts. If you guys like the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you all for coming. I will not be playing the guitar in every video. So if I get a lot of people who either say one why'd you do that? That was terrible. Or 2, that was awesome. You should do that more. I appreciate it either way, but I'm probably not going to do that in every video because I don't want to scare people away, man. Anyways, this isn't a music channel. That's for other times and other places. So have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.